See that we are, I believe, able to go live. And we're recording. We are just a bag of tricks here. So I'd like to welcome everybody to our Connect Ottawa call. I'm Margaret Ann Davis from downtown Fitzroy Harbor, and I'm really excited today because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, networking, with the amazing Siobhán Fitzpatrick from Ireland. But before we get started, we like to do some introductions, share a little bit about Connect Ottawa. So for those that this might be your first Connect Ottawa call, we actually have a group that Bernie, I know, will be inviting you into. He'll be sharing a link there. And we welcome everybody to come in and get a little bit more active these days. It's been a little bit silent. Have you heard of that word ghosting? Sometimes I feel like I'm being ghosted. So I'm going to put this challenge out to people that you come in and you start sharing a blog or an article or some great tips that other business people could enjoy and start those conversations, because that is the first part of a relationship, is getting to know you, and we can't get to know you if you're ghosting us. So there you go. That's my tip for the day. On that note, I'm going to pass it over to the amazing Bernie Franz-Grote, partner in crime here at Connect Ottawa, to share some, housekeeping tips. Bernie?
Thank you, Margaret Ann. Folks, for your dining pleasure, on your Zoom, the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a view button. If you click that and you go to full screen, you'll get a full screen. You'll see the entire gallery view. If you need access to the one lone screen you have, then exit full screen, you'll have access to your desktop, which is handy. Bottom right, you'll see some reaction buttons. That's for if you need to put your hand up, you want to get someone's attention. And then if you kind of scroll over to where it says share, share, next to share a screen, chat, you click that. You can put your contact information in that space. And much like I've just done now, I posted my contact details. You can share your information. People can pick up on getting your information and connecting with you. And I've also included some other events that are happening inside Connect Ottawa. If you have the barking kids and the screaming dogs in the background, go to mute. That way you'll stay kind of cute and lovable as opposed to entertaining. And that should be enough there. Oh yes, also do make sure to update your Zoom every once in a while, end of day. Don't do it just before you start a conference call, because then it just takes you down a little rabbit hole and you don't come back in time for anything. Also back in the chat box, the bottom right-hand corner next to the smiley face, there are 3 dots. You click the 3 dots, hit save chat, you save the chat that's happening. So the important piece out of this whole story is at the end of the session, save your chat. And if you don't get a hold of us, we will have a saved chat here. And over to you, Margaret Ann.
Perfect. Okay, that's awesome. Thanks a lot, Bernie. So we're going to go around the room and give everybody, 30, 45 seconds to introduce themselves and answer one question, just a quick yes or no. So we're going to ask for your name and your business and a little bit about that. And are you strategic in your networking? Yes or no? Do you have a plan in place before you go out? So on that note, let's start with, hey, Barry, you were first. Do you mind starting us off?
Okay, my name is Barry Copas. I'm actually the master networker, the connector, and the author of this book, Make Quality Connections, Head Up Your Networking Game. I'm actually writing a follow-up to this book called on Virtual Connections too. You guys might be included in my story. We don't mind. And I'm also producing a second podcast called Ready, Set, Action Live with Barry Hollywood. I've actually got over 25 guests that I've networked with through the past 20 months, 55 for the podcast on Ready, Set, Action, over 25 for the Connected Networker podcast. That's the power of networking. That's why they call the master networker, and that's why I'm called the connector. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. That's awesome to hear. Glad to have you here. Hey, Lisa, how about you?
Oh, Lisa.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, two mute buttons. Sorry about that. My name's Lisa Wilson. I run a leadership coaching and human resources consulting business. I also do some mediation, which I've actually done a lot of through the last couple of years. Not our best behavior while COVID has been going on. And as far as being strategic in my networking, I don't think I'm strategic enough. I'm a little more spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
I love it. Thanks for being honest, Lisa. Thanks for joining us. How about Doug Bates?
Hello there. I'm Doug Bates. I'm an entrepreneur. I have run several businesses. One actually out of Ottawa called The Cherry. It's a subscription box for women with a business partner. You probably know her, Sandra Dagakis from KISS. She's my business partner. In terms of strategic, that's all I do. I love networking and I love meeting people. But all I think about day in, day out is how I can help connect people with other people and how it helps my own business and my own network.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Doug. That's great to have you here. Leo Smith.
My turn. My name's
Sure.
Leo. I like the spaghetti on the wall analogy. I think that applies here as well. I've been on LinkedIn for close to 20 years, and it's always a struggle to find the right relationships. I agree, it's not quantity, it's quality, but very difficult to get people's attention, first of all. I run a couple of groups, CEO Club and Global Owners Mastermind Group. I have clients in Ottawa as well, trying to get people's attention in Ottawa. Not an easy thing to do. So I'm looking for some help, and maybe the spaghetti can be for lunch instead of for marketing purposes. So let's see what happens.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks for being so honest. How about you, James?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is James Lauber. I run two businesses. Crafton SST is a strategic success. Hang on, I got to remember what the SST stands for now. I don't do this all the time. Strategic success strategies. We focus on and deliver a program or a workshop called the Hot Button Workshop. It focuses on communication skills, which we commonly refer to as soft skills, and I assure you there's nothing soft or easy about them. There is, however, underpinnings or commonalities in the way people respond and behave. And if you understand what the basic constructs are, you are a lot more empowered to both manage what your message is and also manage what other people's messages to you are. The ultimate result is you have a better, what we call communication culture, which is a business culture, which lends to your business's success.
Perfect. Like that. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question. Strategic networking. I try hard to be strategic, but I'm here under the title of Learn to be a Better Strategic Networker. So there's always room for improvement. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Thanks a lot, James. Hey, Linda, how about you? How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Haven't seen you in a long time. Here's a hug. I don't know if you've had a hug from Margaret Ann. You've been hugged. I'm Linda Babulik, and I'm the founder of Zest Your Life, Zest Your Business, the author of an international #1 best-selling book called Zest Your Life, A Taste of Inner Wisdom. And I am strategic about everything that I do, particularly networking. I think it's very important to have that powerful first impression, to be able to step out of your own space and to really connect with someone to make a difference in their lives. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, and you are great at it, Linda. And Eduardo, long time. Nice to see you.
Hi, Margaret Ann. Nice to see you. Hi, Bernie. My name is Eduardo Belletti. I teach a course at the TIM program, the Technology Innovation Management program at Carleton University. It's a graduate program, and I also help coach entrepreneurs, founders, decision makers on how to navigate new problems, new projects that they don't exactly know how to get through. I help them basically get them ready to define those requirements that you can pass on to somebody who can actually build the thing that you're looking to build. And I am not that strategic, I would say, about my networking, in the sense that I tend to just kind of avoid it because quite often it's a waste of time. But I do enjoy showing up once in a while. So I'm happy to be here and happy to see everybody.
Okay, cool. Thanks for coming, Eduardo. Just a reminder to everybody that's coming on the call, don't forget to put your information into the chat box, LinkedIn or whatever, so people can connect with you. That's first start of networking. How about Chris Peacock? How are you?
Hi there. I'm very well, thanks. So I'm Chris, and my business is To Be and Flow Neurofeedback Services. So it's a technology-based brain training program, and I work with people whose nervous system is running amok and help them get out of the fight, flight, freeze response. And that's children to adults to seniors.
Perfect.
Oh,
Okay.
and networking. I'd say I'm more strategic than I used to be, and still definitely room for improvement.
And you know what? That's what it's all about. Sometimes the first part is just having the confidence to get on a call or something. So, Chris, you're amazing. You've done great this past year. Peter Rawlings. Peter Rawlings?
He's working it.
I'll come back to you one sec. Eric, are you able to come on?
Yes, yes, I'm able to come on.
Okay.
My name is Eric Sonego. I'm an accountant in private practice, and I am an introvert, which means that I can talk to 1,000 people at once, but not one. That's the trouble we introverts have. And so I'm here to learn how I can be better on a one-to-one basis rather than on a group basis, which I can hide behind people.
Nice to have you here, Eric. Okay, gals, we got Brenda down there. Brenda Williams. Nice to see you.
Hi, my name is Brenda Williams. The Executive Director of New Life Project Incorporation. I work a lot with women, and I also work with youth, and my goal is to help them to achieve their goals through their skills, creativity. So we do a lot of sewing, we do a lot of teaching French, just to help women to be able to have a second language, be bilingual. And also we do a lot of forums. So we have forums that we're calling professionals to help women with areas like finance, health, self-esteem from time to time. And we have one that will be coming up soon. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks for coming, Brenda. Lots of great causes and things happening in your neck of the woods. I love the fact that you're teaching and helping people to be better in the sewing classes and speaking languages. Good for you. Janet, long time. How are you? And you were on mute, my friend. Okay, Ruddy, I'm going to get you off mute.
Definitely a networking defect.
Okay.
Well, I'm still in the process of recovering from Robert's death in May, but I'm sort of gradually getting back together, and I'm doing a JV event next week. So that's a big networking thing for me. So I work with stress professionals, but at the moment I'm gathering myself to starting work again. Yeah.
Okay. Well, nice to have you out here. Hope to see you more, Janet. Always a pleasure to have you. And what about Reddy? Are you there? Ah.
I am there. Yes. Hey, good to see you. Hey, this is back to back for me. Hi, everyone. My name is Ruddy, just like Buddy with an R. People will still misspell it with one D, but that's okay. We're all educated and professionals here. I publish a digital magazine called Main Street, and I work with Notion Hive, a company that is a full marketing, digital marketing agency, which blends well with my online digital magazine. Networking, well, that's how we met Margaret Ann, through networking. And it's been what, 15 years or so, something long.
Feels like forever, eh? Ready?
That's great. Yes. So networking, good, bad, or indifferent, has been good. It's grown and shrank in some different areas, but always good, and always a great way to meet people and build relationships. So.
Perfect. Great to have you here, Reddy. Nice to see you. Okay, Bernie, we're up to you. Who are you, Mr. Franz Grote?
Well, we got a couple more people rolling through the
yeah,
the
go ahead
door.
because we're gonna have to we're gonna
Yep.
Okay.
So my name is Bernie Fransgrote. Creative Insight is the company that I run. It's B2B. Actually, it's people to people connections I provide. Networking, I do it all the time. Connect Ottawa is one of the side results of that networking piece. So there's a few other projects I'm involved in. I've just done another repop of my information. And if you're not part of Connect Ottawa, there's a link to join in to Connect Ottawa. Over to you, Margaret Ann.
Okay, perfect. So we got a couple new people joining us. Just go ahead and put your information in the chat box because we're going to have to get our call started. But for me, I'm Margaret Ann Davis. I'm a business connector, opportunity generator, and a results facilitator. As a business connector and a team builder, I offer a virtual space to collaborate and coordinate with everything you need and desire to execute your online business practice. Using artificial intelligence as your silent partner with machine learning about robotic process automation, all you need to do is just do. So I put my links in the bottom, and right now we're going to pass it over to Bernie to introduce our dynamic Siobhan from the Networking Hub.
Well, folks, Siobhán Fitzpatrick from Ireland. She has a 30-year career on several different countries, different continents, in fact. She knows how a strong network works and the magic of it and how it affects your career, your business, and social life. She's learned firsthand how to build and sustain a network of contacts from not knowing anyone when she moved to New York and later to London, to having a rewarding professional and personal life globally. She's passionate about making conscious connections. That's more than just carpet bombing. That's actually connecting with people. Her experience of working with Fortune 500 companies and event management, followed by running her own career transition coaching practice and women's networking franchise. Siobhan found her true calling as a facilitator and mentor in the art of successful networking through culminating her lifetime learned skills and experience. And her mantra is create value before extracting it. And she runs the Networking Hub. And over to you, Siobhan.
Wow, thank you for that, Bernie, and apologies, but the kids are barking. So I hope that's not going to be too disruptive for this call. But as I mentioned earlier on, it is 6 o'clock in the evening. So for them, it's their time to be with their mama. So apologies in advance if there is going to be barking. Can I just say I'm very honored to be here today at Connect Ottawa. Bernie and Margaret Ann are people I've got to know over the last few months, and I've enjoyed my time with Connect Ottawa. But to be surrounded by more Canadians and more accents than I can list off here, it is fabulous, and it shows the power of networking and how far it can reach. So I hope what I can share today around being productive networkers and having a strategic approach will be of value to you. And please don't hesitate to put questions up in the room. I guess I should share my screen now. So let me try this out and see if I can't make this work.
There you go. You're good. You're good.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So as Bernie said, my name is Siobhán Fitzpatrick. I'm based in Ireland, and networking is my game. And part of what I do is I've culminated those skills I've learned in my network. And if you connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll see I have the initials QBE after my name. That does not mean I have been awarded by the Queen. I am qualified by experience, and that is a lot of experience that, and I think as a global society, we need to recognize that people come to the table, even through their careers, with more than just their skill sets. They come with a life of experience. And our job is to be curious and to get to meet them and get to know their essence, not just what they're listed on for their CV or their LinkedIn profile. So let's get to it. Networking for me requires two things: having a game plan and helping other people. So no matter what industry you're in, what career you're in, you will actively network. It is critical for your success to actively network. And while often, and it's interesting to have people's feedback, and thank you all for giving your insight into what strategic network is for you, whether you're doing it or not. I did hear one person say, like, it's just, he didn't like it, waste of time. Which is understandable. It can feel like that if we're not strategic. So while it can feel like we're giving a lot of time towards networking and it's a full-time job to do it, if you have a strategic plan and they are in line with your goals, it will pay dividends. And hopefully that's what you'll learn some of today. So for me, networking is a bit like or strategic networking is a bit like sowing, making a new lawn in your garden. You first have to identify the goal, i.e., I want a new lawn. I want to put a new garden in there. So you're going to research the best times for sowing the seeds. You're going to look at the key timings to do everything to get your lawn laid out. You're going to find the most suitable seeds to sow wherever you are in the world. We're all over the planet here, and how to water it and when to fertilize it so that you can get the best results. And then you get into action. You till the earth, you sow the seeds, you fertilize the ground, you make sure that you water it at the right time, you make sure that you monitor it and take out any of those with the tweezers, take out any of those weeds that pop their head up because they're nasty and they come all too often if the weather's fine. Or you could take another approach and you can pick up a bag of random seeds, you can throw them all over the back garden and you can wait to see what happens. Now, without stating the obvious, I know which way I'd like to go and I know which kind of lawn I would like to have. So I think if you don't want to have disappointing results, you have got to make the plan. But unfortunately, when we revert this back to networking, it's often how most people network. They just randomly throw those seeds out there. Now, I am going to preface that sometimes serendipitous opportunities of meeting people happen through random meetings at a water cooler or random meetings at an event. I'm not going to disregard those, but if you want to succeed in business and in career, you've got to get strategic. So what we need to understand is that networks are something that you can and you need to manage. So there's different types of networking forms. You've got your personal networks, you've got your operational networks, and then you've got your strategic networking. And for the latter, actions need to be taken in order for your strategic to move forward or your network to move forward. And I think that strategic management is all about the development and maintenance. These are really important words, development and maintenance of mutually valuable relationships. So to acquire all of this, what does it require? Well, it requires planning and effort. So instead of, as we talked about earlier, getting out there and throwing those business cards and hoping for a few leads or expecting them to happen in those random discussions by the water cooler, they have to be carefully constructed. And you'll recognize successful leaders and managers from the rest of the crew. Those that have strong networks, they are the people that will lead. They are the leaders that we want to follow. They are the leaders we take note of. They have strong networks. And network is about creating a fabric of personal contacts, which will provide you support, which will provide you feedback and resources needing to get things done. Now, these can be broken down into 3 areas. But before I go into those 3 areas, I want to recognize that everybody in this room is not necessarily doing the same in the same industry or doing the same job, obviously. But regardless of whether you're employed or self-employed, networking is a must. So I hope that there's something in here for you all to take from. So you'll recognize the picture on this screen here. The first one we're going to talk about is personal networks. And these are made up of discretionary links to the people outside of your business or your workplace. So there'll be people you have things in common with. And what makes a personal network is the powerful referral system that they can provide. So again, I'm going to refer back to good old Kevin Bacon and the 6 degrees of separation principle. I don't know if anybody's ever tried it because there is a website that allows you to put your name in. And I found I am connected to Kevin Bacon by 2 connections. So if we look at that connecting principle and you think about it, our contacts are valuable to the extent that they will help us reach in as few connections as possible to the furthest person who has the information we want. Okay, so get to that connection, you have to know who's in your network and who they know and what they know. So the personal networks, they can be people that you're meeting at the side of the pitch with your kids, if you're going to their sports games. They could be part of alumni you're part of, your college alumni. They could be people that you're in your Pilates group. They could be people in your social group. These are personal connections that really are your close friends and connections outside of the workplace. Now, they are generally highly clustered. So what I mean by that is your friends are most likely connected to one another because they know each other either through you or through the network of where you all met. So there's a tendency to be close-knit, and they'll have similar values to you. They'll have similar thinking patterns to you. So if you've been introduced to somebody through somebody outside your network, that's a different stretch beyond. We're talking at those that are in your close network who would have similar perspectives that would be echoed by yourself. Now, if you consider from a business perspective, if there's ideas generated within this network, they're generally going to circulate in a kind of shared view kind of way, meaning that we all think alike, we all have similar approaches, similar mindset, and that's okay. But if we're looking to get beyond that, if we're looking to progress, and if we're looking for connections that are beyond that reach, we need to think outside of our closed group personal network. And you might look at an information broker. For want of a better description, this is what I'm going to call them. So let's say I'm going to pick Leo. He's on my screen here. Bernie has introduced us. Bernie and I are connected through a business network, but he's going to connect me with you. That is an information broker who's connecting me to you. And we want to be aware of who those connectors are. These are great people to have in your network. They provide diversity and breadth. And it's really important to look at your network and see how diverse and broad it is. So, like I said, consider all of the areas that you are connected in your personal network. Be aware of who's in them, who they're connected to, what they do. Are you taking the best advantage of this, as in, do you have those conversations with them, those really important connections within your personal network? Now, while your personal networks are really good and they offer important and are challenging to you in the sense that you come out of your work zone and you can be talking about more personal things, it's also important to have the resources in your operational and strategic network. So more often than not, individuals in our personal network, they're just not necessarily the type that will benefit us in those operational and strategic networks. And this is why you really need to be looking at broadening your networks and trying to address those operational and strategic needs. So let's move on to the second one, which is our operational networks. It's really important to build good relationships, working relationships with the people who can help us to do our jobs. And this is really what operational networks is all about. So the kind of people in your operational networks would be things like industry strategic partners, your customers, your suppliers, your distributors. Maybe if you're within a company where there's employees and your peers, their direct reports, they could be senior management, along with internal players in the bigger scheme of things. These kind of people who have the power to prevent or support a project that you might be working on. So the purpose of this networking is to ensure that there's coordination and cooperation amongst the people involved in a project. And you've got to know and trust one another. Now, we've all heard that analogy of doing business with people you like and you trust. It goes the same if we're working internally with teams. We can all, I'm sure, tell a tale or two where things broke down when communication or maybe the trust wasn't there within the team that's working together. So it's really important to have that. Operational networking is geared towards doing and delivering tasks more effectively. So you have people with their roles within the project. They are defined, they have tasks, we have stakeholders, and we know they're going to get it done. But again, I'm just going to revert back. It's really important to build a network, to build a trust, build a rapport, and know that how and who you can depend on. So very quickly, and I hope my accent is clear and I'm not talking too Irish fast, which I can tend to do. So please do let me know if I am. I'm okay. Thanks, Bernie. So we've covered now the two networking bases, which are the personal network and the operational network. So even now, you should be thinking about are there gaps in my network that I could work on more, or I could improve on more, even in those two networking areas? Again, your personal network provides you access to external resources and referrals, and your operational network helps you to get the work done. So most operational networks occurs and are determined by routines and short-term demands. So if you are looking at, and I can't see everybody here on my screen at the moment, but if you're about to move into a more senior role, a more leadership role, or you're moving out of employment into self-employment, or maybe you're retiring and you want to look at NED roles, or I was corrected the other day, in Scotland they don't call them NED roles, they call them NXD roles, so non-exec director roles. And you want to be reorientating how you're networking, because you're going to have to network more externally in a way that's going to help you move forward. And this is the role that's played when you're doing strategic networking. So making a successful transition can be challenging. And it does require the shift from the confines and defined operational networking approach. You know, within companies, we know the lay of the land. We know how the business operates. We generally know how our teams operate. And we have tasks given to us. And even if we're a leader or manager, we are delivering them based on the company's goals and objectives, etc. But when you move out of that and you move into a leadership role that is managed by yourself and driven by yourself, the process becomes a little more unclear, but you still have to build your networks and build your business. So I cannot stress enough that networking is one of the most important requirements of any leadership. And there's a responsibility to the individual to allocate enough time and effort to make it happen. Because when you do that, you'll see the payoff. So strategic networking is ultimately the ability to organize information, support, and the resources from one area of a network to achieve the results in another. And effective leaders are highly dependent on others to get things done. So the irony here is that the individuals in your network who are the lifeline to building up that big picture are also the individuals who are likely to be outside of your immediate control. So they're in your broader network. They are doing their own thing. They're building their own network. They're building their own goals and success. So while it might seem really obvious, the difficulty to transition from purely operational network to a strategic one is strategic networking takes time. So I'm going to go back again and say that everybody should be networking, because you don't want to wait till the time you need the network to then start networking, because it can generally be way too late. So it has to be planned. And as a concept, strategic networking requires a strong foundational pillars, actually a number of foundational pillars. The first one is a good brand. So this is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's defined as part of your education, your experience, your record of accomplishments. It's everything you've done and what people know you have done. So what are they saying about you in the room? Think about what your brand is. What is your personal brand? And I'm not talking about the dress and the hair and the look and the feel, although that can come into it too. But I am talking about how you show up, how you perform, how you connect. All of those things matter. And of course, your knowledge, your experience. And then that kind of wraps into a value-based contributor. Are you seen as somebody who has a deep understanding of your industry or your business sector? Do you know what the emerging trends are? Are you good at coming up with ideas for the future? Or do you have a defined track for your business and your career? Are you the person who provides your network with the news and the updates, information or analysis that can enrich their experience? Are you giving value? I'm sure you can think of people in your network. I can think of a few right now who are constantly giving information and showcasing themselves as thought leaders. And this is the next pillar, being a thought leader. I don't mean a self-designated, that's not an option. You can't call yourself a thought leader and make it a position that you are a thought leader. It's an important recognition, and it's a title that's bestowed on you by your network and your peers. And it's not quickly or easily earned. So recognizing that if you're a valuable contributor, you will become, in time, a thought leader. The pillar of also committing to build your network. People who excel build strong, sustainable, productive professional networks of contacts. And they're people who are constantly doing this, and that in turn helps their brand. They're the people that are connecting other people. It's important to invest time in your community, not for your own gain, but to give back. That sort of helping others is an important part of who you are, who you should be, and who people will recognize you for being. Network or networks create value, but networking takes real work. In order to make it happen, it means that you've got to build a network connections that matter to you, that are important to you, that are going to help you achieve what you want to achieve. And this will also need to apply the principle of giving back. It's not just take, take, take. I have a mantra that I always say, and that is, I would like to create value before I even entertain extracting it from my network. And I also give another analogy like the bank account. We would never walk into a bank, and I don't care what country you're in, and if there is a country out there that give out money without having put anything in, let me know. But generally with a bank account, you put deposits in before you can ask for anything out. This is the same principle applies for your network. You've got to invest. You've got to constantly put in before you can ask for those favors or ask for help and support. But like Douglas Conant says, do not wait for something really bad to happen to ask a favor from your network. And we don't have to look back too far to look at a situation where the world was shut down and people lost their jobs. People were put into a situation that they were unused to, uncomfortable with. But if we haven't invested the time into building our network, it's too late then. There's no favors to be asked because you haven't earned that. So be sure to put in the time and put in the energy to build those networks. So networking, like everything, like our businesses, like our careers, have to have a game plan. And it has to have us nurture our network. I mean, strategic networking isn't rocket science. Networking is not rocket science. At its core, it's the process of depending on where you are in the world, of building professional relationships with the people or organization and businesses with whom you want to work with and whom you want to connect with. So let me give you 5 ways to strategically build your network. I hope these will be of some benefit. Number 1, can't start anything. You cannot build your house without having a goal. What is the goal? Identify what you want, what you hope to accomplish by expanding your professional network. Quite simple. Number 2, this is where you begin to build your network. You want to start to reach out to people you know. Maybe it's by connecting on a professional network. Maybe it's honing in on what you want to get out of your network, and that'll help you guide you to where you build on and who you build with. So bear in mind that your next lead just might come from outside your circle of connections. So while it's a good idea to keep an open mind, make sure that you know who you're looking for and start to connect with your connections and know what you're asking them for, and find those connections that can help you get a more target audience. Number 3. One of the most popular misconceptions about networking is that it's just for beginners. So again, I'm going to revert back to what Margaret Ann asked earlier on about do people have a strategic approach? And I have often met along my journey people who said, oh my God, look, I'm so long on the tooth in my industry and in my game, I don't need to network. They feel that they're so established that they're okay, that all they can do is help people. They're good. They don't need help. They don't need much in the way of career or business development or support. But in an article within the Harvard Business Review, which was by Hermione, I can barely pronounce the name, apologies. I think it's Hermione Ibra and Mark Lee Hunter. They suggest that the alternative to networking is to fail, either in reaching it for a leadership position or in succeeding at all. So if we don't network, we are bound to fail because the world doesn't stop. It is constantly changing. Our world is changing. We are now talking about what's the generation now, the resignation generation, because they're talking with their feet. They're making the decisions based on their recent experience and those of the previous crash and those of the economic hardship. The world changes and we've got to change with it. So we've got to ensure that our network is strong enough to support us as we change. And strategic networking in particular can inform you of new directions within a given industry. It can make it easier for you to identify the stakeholders who can support you in that change, especially when you're taking your business or your team in a whole new direction, or yourself. And then number 4, this is where we focus on the people and not the pitch. Networking doesn't have to be an arduous task. You can get to know people because, yes, it may help you professionally, but it's also because you have something in common. You have value to add and you want to get to know one another. And when it comes right down to it, networking is all about building those relationships. And for those relationships to thrive, you've got to be both transparent and genuine. A really important ingredient to build a trust and rapport that you would like in that network. So whether you're approaching someone at a face-to-face networking event, we're all looking forward to having more of those, or simply reaching out in LinkedIn, and there are a few rules to keep in mind. But I'm not going to go through all those rules. I'm going to say just keep this in mind. It's about the people, not the pitch. We do business with people, not with pitches. Last but not least, nurture your connections. We've got to listen more. Listen than doing more, too much talking, asking questions, being curious. Get the tone straight for your relationships. Get engaged and involved in who they are. Know what makes them tick. Know what they like, know what they don't like. Listen to their language, listen to their body language. And not only does this approach make you a better human being, but it also enables you to understand more about each of your connections and how you can help each other out. Sometimes our connections may not directly say what they're looking for, but if we're asking the right questions, we might find out just how we can help them and be more helpful, and vice versa. And also don't remember that it's a two-way street. Just as you're looking to seek for people who can help you grow and develop and be the best you can be prepared to do the same for other people and they for you. So in the end, you're going to find that all that effort in putting yourself out there and dedicating time to building those relationships online and in person and to maintaining those relationships are going to pay off. Networking needs mutual interest. And that, my friends, is what I would like to share with you on strategic networking. And please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or otherwise. Thank you.
That was amazing, Siobhan.
Thank you, Margaret.
Yeah, kudos to you. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
As a fellow, yeah. There's so many little key nuggets that I took out of there. One, I don't know why it really resonates. No favors. You can't ask favors if you haven't earned it. I'm very big on accountability. Showing up so I can get to know you. So I go back to ghosting. Anyways, that was just, I really liked how you walked through that, being a fellow networker and having a network myself. So questions, comments, did it make anybody go, oh my gosh, okay, it's just about relationships. Oh, maybe I'm going to the wrong circle. Any feedback? Oh, Eric? No, Doug.
Let me say that was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I learned a ton. I thought I knew everything. I know nothing. I know nothing.
I'm sure that's not true. Sometimes you just need a little refresher.
I'd like to make a
So you went on
comment.
mute. Doug, were you still finishing up? Or were you
No,
done?
I was just saying thank you very much. It was just
Oh,
just
okay,
thank you.
great. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I wasn't sure. Okay, over to Barry.
So I'd like to make a comment that ever since I started networking last year online, some people think that I wouldn't go to that type of an event, networking event, or attend a webinar or seminar online because I'm not going to meet the right type of people. I would disagree with that because over the past 20 months, as I mentioned, I have got a very powerful group of people lined up for my podcast show. And I didn't go to a film industry event to meet these people. Because you're not going to meet anybody at a non-film industry event that's interested in film. Well, that's false. False. Because I met lots of people for both my podcasts on non-events related to the Connected Networker. Like if it's not a networking event, I still got people for the networking. So don't get the idea, at least that's my opinion, that you're not going to meet the right type of people if you go to a certain type of event. And that's what some people get in their head, that I don't want to go to a hospitality event because I'm only going to meet restaurant people at the event. I'm not going to meet anybody else except people that work in restaurants and hotels. And I would say, don't think that way.
That's a
my
really
opinion.
good point, Patrick. Yeah, no, and I would agree 100%. And I think one of my experiences when I was running events face to face, because like COVID has flipped my business online, and I'm actually quite happy because it's extended it globally. But one of my experiences was an individual who came to my event and they looked around the room and they said, I'm not going to join because these are not my clients. And I said, well, in my opinion, I would be I'm happy you said that, because if this is a room full of your clients, you'll be short-lived in your experience here. But I would invite you to get curious and actually maybe talk to the people in the room and find out maybe they might know your clients and they might have connections for you. So be open-minded, stay curious, never judge.
Edward, or over to you.
Hi, Siobhan. I agree. Great talk. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I wanted to find out a bit. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that you talked about. There's the people that are new to you that you are maybe connected to outside in your sort of friends of friends of friends kind of network, or there's complete new networks that you've never touched into and they're completely separate to you. So I'm sure that there's different actions that you have to do to be able to tap into the friend of a friend of a friend versus going to a new network in the other side of the planet that you've never even talked to. They may have a different language, right? So I wanted to talk, there was that part, but then there's the different actions that you have to do to be able to tap into them. But there was the part you said about timing. So I wanted to find out about the switching gears component. If I'm going to be networking just in general, just to meet people, or if I'm going to do the strategic networking that you're saying, I need to tap into new networks that I don't have access to today, there's got to be a gear switch, right? There's an intentionality about just expanding who I know versus I've got something to get done. I want to go after this. So can you tell me about that sort of gear switch and how your strategy changes between the sort of hopefully fortuitous connections versus I'm on a mission to get something done?
So I think if we look and start off with the principle that you're networking, which you said you've done, and you do general networking, I might challenge general networking, because if it's general networking, who are you bringing value to and how are they bringing value to you? So it's important to know what you're looking to achieve from that general networking, okay? Because you want to value your time and their time, okay? And That's step one. And then in terms of switching or changing gears, you've networked one way, you've been strategic about networking that way, and then you're pivoting into a new role or into a new direction. So you're going to
thought
look at
leadership. You were talking about becoming a thought leader, from
thought
being
leadership.
sort of a connector to being a thought leader, being the anchor of your own network kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Okay. So you sit back and you ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? What impression do I want to make? What do I want the outcome to be? What am I in control of myself? What can I manage? Where are the gaps? And who in my current network? Now, that current network could be your personal network. It could be your business network. It could be your industry network. Who in that space can help me achieve those gaps, or to help me understand how I can fill those gaps or complete those gaps? And it may not just be one connection. It might be a sequence of connections, but you need to know where you're going in order to ask the favor of others. So if you're using the example of thought leadership, being a thought leadership is in your control. It's what you put out there to the universe and LinkedIn and social media and all of those other platforms on proving you are a thought leadership. How you connect those, or how you embrace your network, it's sharing that information with them without bombarding, without overloading them. But you are giving value to them as opposed to talking at them, selling at them. Does that answer your question, Eduardo?
I think you did. By basically what you did was you went back into the first principles. Is pretty much, you said, okay, this works no matter what. I can take this and do it if I am not 100% sure of what I want to achieve. But what I want to achieve is less sniper focused. It's more, I want to build my network locally because I think that maybe I'm going to have good connections that'll come out of it. That was what I want to achieve. Or you have, I need to grow a company and I need to meet the people that have the resources that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go after that. But what you relied upon is that you're going to go back to the same sort of process in your mind that's repeatable in either case. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me remind everybody that you need to check into your network often, every 3 months, every 6 months. You know, as I said, the world is changing, we're changing, our business changes. So we want to make sure that our actions are in line with our goals. So it's important to check in every now and again. And if you feel that, so you gave the example of building your local network, you build it and then you're like, okay, what's missing? What do I not have? I've got loads of this, but what do I not have? Or if you're building your thought leadership role, who am I connecting with? I mean, Margaret Ann and I and Bernie were having a chat previous to this about showing up and who's engaging in conversation, who's reacting to conversation. So you will have feedback on that, and you need to kind of check in. What am I doing to support my network? What am I doing to become that thought leader? Is it the right way? Just because I think it is doesn't mean it's right. So it's about checking back in and making sure you're on the right track.
Do I have time to ask a follow-up?
Pardon?
May I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
Okay?
Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to find out, so there's I'm going to create the new connections, but then there's also the maintenance. You said that you had to maintain relationships. That was point number 5 in your 5-point plan. Can you talk a little bit more about maintaining the relationships once because on LinkedIn, I've got, I don't know, 1,200 people I'm connected to or something crazy like that. And I just like, how am I supposed to maintain I don't even know who's in that network. Like it would take me forever to scan through that list.
So yeah, well, you don't necessarily want to scan through the list, but what you want to do is maybe set reminders. And LinkedIn is I do a course on networking, digitally networking, because it does take a different approach, and you can extend your network in a very different way on LinkedIn. Powerful tool. You could kind of get alerts for birthdays and kind of wish them a happy birthday, or once you start to communicate with people on LinkedIn, people you regularly connect with, and you start to read their posts or be aware of their posts and where their blogs, and they respond to yours, it's really important to respond on LinkedIn. It's really important to engage on LinkedIn. And make sure it's not just a like, a tick, or a hands up, whatever the new emojis are, and that you actually deliver a response as to why you believe that blog or that article is of interest. I think we need to remember a basic principle. Networking is about communicating. It's about having a conversation. And whether that's a few words or whether that's remembering, oh, like, I'll give you an example. Today, I responded to a former client of mine, coaching client, that I have not worked with for nearly 15 years, I'd say, and maybe slightly less. But I keep an eye on what he does on LinkedIn because I like to see his success, and I comment on it and I keep abreast of it. So if something of interest comes along, I'll send it his way. I'll send that article his way and say, this is something you might be interested in. That might once a year. That might be once every 2 years. It's about adding value, but don't over bombard yourself. You've got to know who you want to build your networks with, who's important, and who you're going to invest your time in. You got to be smart about it as well.
And Siobhan, I'm just going to revert back when you're saying that. And I think one of the biggest things is no matter what we do, whether it's in our business, whether it's networking or whatever, it's having a goal. And so for myself, like if I was going to an event, depending where I was, I'd set like, you know, if I'm going to meet one person here or 5. So literally a lot of it was casual conversation, but I knew the questions I was asking to meet the people that I needed. And I loved your 6 degrees of separation because that is actually how close everything really is. So as soon as we get good on those questions, we can get catapulted to really who we want to meet. So I never see a bad networking event because it's not up to the people that are there. It is up to us to make it great. So on that note, we're at 1:58. And you know, guys, I want to thank everybody for coming out and joining us today. It has been a delight having Siobhan here. Bernie, would you mind sharing what do we got coming up this week?
Oh, Margaret Ann, funny you should ask that question. I'm just going to post it in the chat. We have, we have the Thursday, November 25th at noon. We have a Core VIP Mastermind. Promo code is 2021 Explore, uppercase for the letters. And next Tuesday, we have trauma-sensitive yoga and meditation presented by Natalia Baginski. And she's ex-D&D, and if you're not, it's not Dungeons and Dragons, by the way. It's the Department of National Defense, and she's a yoga instructor, so she helps you get right with your life. And over to you, Margaret Ann. Oh, well, one more thing. 5 minutes after the hour, out comes the survey, so you'll be seeing that shortly.
Perfect.
Thanks, and I forgot one more thing. Save the chat. Save the chat. I'm getting old here. The 3 dots. Go for the 3 dots. Click them. Save them.
Okay, for those of you in Ottawa who are flying, we're trying to get a little event together for a couple hours to meet people face to face. If that is something you would like to do, please drop Bernie or myself a note. I believe we set a date up, and it's not going to be a big soiree. It's going to be like Bernie and I are getting together for lunch. Does anybody want to join us? Because we know that, you know, given the times we're still in, not everybody's in. So as opposed to making a big deal, it's just a little simple networking Christmas party or a holiday celebration or just a time to come and see each other face to face. No kissing.
Yeah, we're gonna have alcoholic beverages, and that'll keep us clean.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. Maybe with the scotch there, that disinfects everything. That's good for everything, right, Bernie?
Yeah, it is.
So on that note, Siobhan, I'm going to do a quick recap. I love this 5 tips. Establish goals, target your audience, tap into connections, expand your reach, and maintain relationships. Those will give you happy resulting for networking. And, you know, everybody come in and Connect Ottawa to meet Siobhan. She's part of our network, and I know she'd be happy to answer any tips, and you can get her information to perhaps join her at one of her upcoming networking events. We'd be happy to know when they are, Siobhan.
Connect on LinkedIn. Thanks, Margaret Ann.
Perfect. Okay, so thanks a lot, everybody. It's 2 o'clock. So in respect for everybody's time, you may now leave. No. Have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, Margaret Ann, can you shut off streaming?
There is a good idea.